Good morning and welcome to the direct comparison approach to value. This morning we're going to let you in on the secret sauce of how realtors figure out the price of properties on the market. As you can see with the direct comparison approach, if you'll turn to your facilitation and participation guide, in your case the participation guide, you will find the subject property slide that looks just like this. We're going to go through every single part of each slide and then you can ask questions. Now in the meantime, speaking of asking questions, please feel free to ask all you want. There are no wrong questions. You're among friends here, you're among colleagues here, and I'm pretty sure we would want to resolve any questions here in the group rather than waiting until we're in front of a client or a customer. All right, so let's get on with the subject property. This is the one that you're going to try and find a value for. And it happens to be a 3-bedroom side split located at 29 Brock Street, situated in a good location close to shopping, amenities and all. 1,324 square feet in size, built on a lot 60 by 115 feet, with a single car garage and no fireplace. Any questions on that? Okay, great. Seeing none, we'll move on. I'm sure before you would give an opinion on anything, you'd want to know the market facts regarding that property. So here you have them on the subject property. There has been a situation where prices have risen over the last year, but only in the first 6 months of the period. In the last 6 months of the period, there has been no appreciation in prices. You can also see here that the building costs for this type of property are $70 a square foot. Lots sell $900 per front foot, which is the way lots are valued, per front foot. And fireplaces at a $2,000 value. Single garages cost $12,000 and doubles cost $22,000, but only add $10,000 and $20,000 respectively to values. Any questions on this slide? Ralph?
Yes, if a garage costs $12,000, why do we only add $10,000 in value?
That's a great question, and it's one that you will be faced with in front of a consumer. They have just put in this beautiful garage and they want to know why you're not giving them full credit for it. Any ideas on that? Mary?
Yeah, because that's all people are willing to pay.
Exactly. Very simple answer. That's all people are willing to pay. And how do we know that? Because we will have gone through other comparable properties with no garage and with a single garage, and found out they sell for $10,000 more. There's the empirical evidence. Any other questions on that? No? Okay. That's great. Seeing none, we'll move on to the next slide, which is you are going to have to use comparable properties to do the evaluation on the subject property. So we've given you 5. Now of the 5, there are 3 that we consider are the most comparable. So during the next 5 minutes, I would like all of you to get into a group at the table or pair up, however you want to do it, and talk about which one of these properties, which 3 of these properties are best suited for comparison. We know that all of them are comparable or they wouldn't be up there, but there are 3 that are best. Okay, any questions on that? I'll be walking around the room. Feel free to ask me. Start now. Okay, we're back. We have 15 minutes, 15 minutes would be great, 15 seconds left. And please wrap up your conversations and be ready to tell me why you think these are the best comparables and which ones you chose. Okay? Thank you very much. So which ones did you choose? Any volunteers? And?
Yeah, we picked 1, 3, and 4 because they're similar styles and lot sizes.
Similar styles and lot sizes, say and. And obviously lot size would be very important, style would be very important to anybody purchasing a property. You wouldn't want to compare it to a property that's a 3-story house to a 1-floor. Anybody else? Yes, Craig.
Our table picked 1, 3, and 5 for similar reasons, but we also because of the close location to the subject property. In the case of 3 and 5, the close timing of their sales was important.
Okay. We have obviously technical issues here, so let's get back to the slide that we want. So there's 1, 3, and 5 that you just mentioned, and they in fact will be the ones that we be comparing to. You brought up two more elements, which are location and timing. Again, critical to any discussion. All right, so those are our three comparables. And next we have a worksheet which indicates that, was there any more questions, by the way, on, I should have asked you, pardon me. Any more questions on this slide? Oh, we did have some, okay. Yes, sir.
What about the cost approach to value, which I've read about? Why not use that?
Hey, Jim, that's a great question. The cost approach to value is very important. However, it's not something that we can take up today. We don't have the time. But let me just summarize for you that the cost approach to value basically is for new construction. You have to value the price of the property as new and then do some fairly complicated calculations to find out what the depreciation is on the property and then finally come up with a value. This is not something that is easily understandable by the public, and so we stick with the direct comparison approach to market value. Having taken this course on direct comparison approach in 1975 at the Appraisal Institute of Canada, I can readily tell you that this is not going anywhere. It's tried and proven, and consumers understand it. Any other questions? Okay, we'll move on. This is a sales analysis worksheet that you are going to use to fill in all the data on the properties that you will be using as the comparable, and then adjusting for pluses and minuses that your comparables have that the subject property does or doesn't have. So in this area right here, you will be filling in your adjustments. When the comparable is better than the subject property, superior, you will put in a minus sign. And when the comparable is less than or not as good or inferior to the subject property, you'll use a plus sign in that dollar value. Okay, any questions on that? All right, so we're going to give 20 minutes for that. This is going to be a little more involved. You're going to have to go through all the comparables and make your adjustments. I'll be walking around the room. Once again, please get into tables, pair up however you want to do it, and start now. Okay, we've got about 30 seconds left. I'm sure from walking around the room, I've heard lots of discussion, pros and cons. Some people have different opinions, which is what this is all about, right? So we got about another 10 seconds to begin. Okay, you folks look like you're ready. Let's start now. So, here is the slide with the adjustments that we were talking about. You can see the green area where adjustments have been made. Everything else was given to you in way of comparables or in the initial subject property information. Now, let's take comparable 1. We have 3 adjustments. None for garage or parking because they both have 1-car garage, so there's no need for an adjustment. On comparable 3, there was an adjustment for the lot size because it is different. And on comparable 4, there were 3 adjustments, right, down there, okay? The result of all of that is that you wind up with a total positive or negative adjustment. In this case, they all happen to be negative. And what we do with that is we subtract it from the sale price of these properties to get an adjusted sale price, okay? Any questions on that? Jack?
Comparable 1 sold 5 months ago. Wouldn't that affect the value?
Hey, time can affect value. Anybody want to take a stab at that one? Yes?
No,
Ann?
because it's stated there was no change in the market in the last 6 months.
No change in the market in the last 6 months, says Ann. Excellent. That is the salient point for sure. So no need to make an adjustment there. Any other questions on this page? Yes, Ann?
Yeah, can we review under lot size exactly how that number was arrived at?
Sure. Let's take the comparable 1 as an example. Anybody want to deal with that one? Yes, Jack again.
It has 5 front feet less than the subject at $900 per front foot. So 5 times 900 would equal $4,500.
Perfect. Everybody get that? $5 front feet, $900 per. 900 times 5 is $4,500. And in this particular case, the comparable is inferior to the subject, so we use a what? A plus sign to denote that. All right, and you can see the same sort of adjustment has been made for comparable number 3 and wasn't necessary in 4. So with the total square feet, you would do the same sort of adjustment, the cost per square foot times the difference in square feet to get these adjustments here. Okay, so this is what we wound up at the bottom. You can see that the comparable is 353.9 in this case, 351 and 352, very tight range. So which one are we going to use? All right, let's find out. Comparable number 3. And why are we going to use comparable number 3? Because in this case, it has the fewest number of adjustments, and that is an important factor in any evaluation or any appraisal. The more adjustments you make, the weaker the appraisal is generally considered to be. I give the example, if you were going to compare a Volkswagen and a truck, there'd be a lot of adjustments to make for determining value. And in this case, once again, you're comparing things that are very close, and that's what you want to do. Least amount of adjustments. Let's compare a Volkswagen and a Prius, which are similar in size and so on and so forth. Okay, any questions on that page? All right, so to wrap up, what we need here is to just go over what you've learned today and what you've told me today. You told me that adjustments are applied to the comparable sale, not the other way around. Always compare the comparable to the subject and not vice versa. When a comparable is superior, we use a minus sign adjustment to indicate that. When a comparable is inferior, we use a plus dollar sign to indicate that. Adjustments are based on the value and not what they cost. Another example would be a swimming pool. Very tough to get your money out of a swimming pool. Okay? Value estimates are based on an adjusted sale price only. All right? Any other questions? Seeing none, great job, folks. Look forward to seeing you again in the next segment.